guess we're looking for Dan DeCloss to join us here.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay? Yep, I'm here.
We can hear you.
Been lurking in the shadows.
Fantastic, Dan. I am I'm going to promote you to presenter, sir.
Great.
So that in a moment you'll be able to begin your session. Let's have a look here.
Perfect. Let me know if you can see it.
I don't know that I have a bio for you, Dan, but I do want to ask you that one question I've been asking everybody all week, and that is, how did you get your start in the information security field?
Yeah, good question. So I actually started back in 2005. I got accepted into the Naval Postgraduate School as part of the Scholarship for Service program. So I probably got in the most formal way as most people can get in. I got my Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science, got accepted into the NPS program there, and I got delved into all things cybersecurity within the Department of Defense. And so that's how I cut my teeth and have just loved being a part of the industry ever since.
Oh, wow. That's a good story. Fantastic story. I mean, we see a lot of folks actually come into the industry from DoD. I've been involved with SANS, with teaching some DoD folks over time. So it is kind of a natural progression graduating into the cybersecurity field. So that's a story I've heard a few times. Really excited to have you here today, Dan. So I'll let you run with it. We're a minute past the hour.
Cool.
So I'm going to jump off the video and over to you, sir. Take it away.
Great. Well, thanks a bunch. Yeah, and can't thank Black Hills, John and Joff and Velda and everybody at BHIS for this event. We've thoroughly enjoyed being sponsors and thoroughly enjoyed being able to participate in the conference. And so hopefully you've gotten a lot of the value out of the conference thus far. Excited to show off some things about Plextrac. We've been doing demos all week throughout the Discord channel, but really appreciate everybody spending some time in their lunch hour. At least it's lunch hour for us too. We're in Mountain Time Zone, so appreciate you guys sticking around and checking out what we have to show off around Plextrac. And thanks to George and the Scythe team, just previous to us, we really enjoy being able to integrate Scythe data into Plextrac as well. And so I could even show you that as well. But definitely, if there's questions, I'm not sure how we're handling questions, but we're happy to answer them as we go through the demo. Really excited to just kind of share with you some of the advancements that we've made in Plextrac, specifically our Runbooks module, and how you can do purple teaming with Runbooks. We launched Runbooks earlier this month with the goal of achieving a few different use cases that have really come out of feedback from our customers. First and foremost is that true collaborative assessment methodology, being able to have purple team engagements where you can have the red and the blue team providing evidence, collecting evidence for everything that you're going to be doing throughout the engagement in real time, and then streamline exactly straight into a report. So Plextrac is a reporting automation engine. So being able to take that assessment and spit it straight into a report so you can streamline the process, have as much time saved on the reporting and analytics side of the house, then being able to focus as much of your efforts on finding the issues and fixing the issues. So that's our mission within Plextrac. I've worn all hats within the cybersecurity space. I was a penetration tester, also built out a blue team. So I know the pains that we all have to go through in trying to find the issues and fix the issues, and that's where we need to be spending all of our time, as much of it as possible. So that was really the primary use case for Runbooks, and that's what we're going to show off today. It also serves as a checklist for methodologies, right? So any kind of consulting firm or internal red team where they want to make sure that everybody is testing in a consistent fashion. Not necessarily these are the things you have to always do, but like these are the things that occur during the engagement. So you can actually show your work, show your progress, because maybe you're going through an assessment and you don't actually find anything or find very little, and you don't want to tell the client like, hey, here's your report with one finding in it, but we actually did do a lot of work. So this can actually help you show the work that you've been doing. And then also Runbooks really helps facilitate tabletop-like scenarios for maybe proactive IR engagements or running through simulations within your incident response plan against maybe a ransomware attack or something like that. So those are the primary use cases for Runbooks. We're going to go ahead and show off how you can do purple teaming with Runbooks, because that's definitely one of the major goals that we want to have as an outcome of Plextrac. So if you're not familiar with Plextrac as the platform on a whole, we're happy to give you a demo. Just go to plextrac.com/demo. I'm not going to run through the whole program or platform. I'm going to just show off our new Runbooks module and show how you can do purple team engagements with that. So if you are familiar with Runbooks, with Plextrac, you'll see that we have this Runbooks menu option now to the left. And we break things down with tactics, techniques, and procedures, and then methodologies. So methodologies is just a hierarchy, an overarching grouping for all of the different Runbooks and engagements that you might be conducting. It comes out of the box with MITRE ATT&CK TTPs 7.2 so we have all the tactics and techniques, including sub-techniques for MITRE. And then we actually are utilizing Atomic Red Team's atomics for our procedures. You can build your own procedures as well. We also, just to sample, we started creating an OWASP web security testing guide methodology. So say you want to have everything mapped back to the OWASP web testing guide. You can create methodologies and have testing guides based on, and Runbooks based on those types of methodologies as well. So another good example would be you could create your own methodology against the PTES framework. But like I said, it comes out of the box with MITRE ATT&CK. We're big fans of MITRE ATT&CK. I think it's a huge boon for the industry to be able to map things back to the attack lifecycle and being able to start measuring your progress against actual techniques and procedures that attackers are conducting in the wild. So you'll see that you have this methodology section, and we can come over here and start to say, hey, I want to look at the runbooks that we have associated with MITRE. You can create as many runbooks as you want. These just serve as the standard for these are the things that are going to be tested in an engagement. So you can reuse them over and over, and you can assign them to different clients as you conduct an engagement. So you see we've created one that's the MITRE ATT&CK kitchen sink. So we basically included all of the tactics and then all of the techniques and then all of the procedures. So if we were to execute this runbook, it'd be 561 procedures, quite a long run book. But we also created one just for lateral movement. But it's really easy to create your own. I'll kind of show you that. So we'll go, we'll go ahead and just say, wow, was Hackin Fest demo for our run book. And then we have the list of tactics associated with this methodology. So if we had selected like a web app methodology, we'd have only the tactics that we'd assign to that methodology. So since it's MITRE, we have all the initial tactics, out of MITRE. And we'll go ahead and say like, hey, we want to include, defensive agent, Privesc, and credential access. So then as we come into the techniques, it basically filters the techniques associated with the tactics. We'll go ahead and select, let's do credential dumping. Oops. Maybe a rootkit, some obfuscation, and maybe some network sniffing. And then we can also, based on those, it now creates it pulls in all the procedures that are associated with those techniques. So we could filter, you can see there's quite a few here. We'll go ahead and select all of them just for the sake of time. But you can go back and forth to filter these out and begin to narrow it down to exactly the things that you want to test. You can also create your own and add them in here as well. So we're going to go ahead and save and continue. We can save and close this and come back to it. This is always going to be the run book that you can assign at any point in time to any engagement. But we'll go ahead and save and continue and go ahead and start an engagement. So this is throwing us right into, hey, we're going to go ahead and execute this. We're at the client site, or we're in the conference room with our business units that we're going to run through this. And so we'll go ahead and say, hey, I want to go ahead and select the client of Why Was Hackin Fest Purple Team. We'll go ahead and say, we'll give it a tag, just something like this, and we could provide a description if we wanted to about the engagement, any other details that you would want. And then we go ahead and begin the new engagement. So now this drops us into this overview of everything that's going to be executed during the engagement. And this is where we can actually track progress. We can see which items are actually going to be included as findings into a report. And then when we're all done, we submit it, and it automatically creates the report in Plextrac. So we have the overview. These are all the procedures that we're going to do. You see here, this is always a fun one, PowerShell Mimikatz. So if we come into the details section, here we have all the information that comes out of the Atomic Red Team procedure for this specific PowerShell Mimikatz execution. We get all the details about what comes in, and this comes in straight from Atomic Red Team. We can add operators to this specific one. So if we wanted to say like, hey, I've got the demo user assigned as part of the red team, I might have the sorry here. Guess I can't assign, I guess there's only one user, sorry. Well, if we had other blue team operators, we could assign them here as well. And then we can start to begin to execute this procedure. So on the red team side, we can say, hey, whether this was successful or not as we executed it. We have different execution steps. So you could have multiple execution steps, and we can select, hey, okay, I've executed this. It was successful. I want to let people know, or I want to collect my evidence accordingly. So we could go ahead and attach files. We could attach anything that we want. So we could attach screenshots, and these are just random screenshots. We could provide a description. We can say whether or not we want to include it in the finding, and then and continue to collect the evidence. If it was text-based, we could add any kind of log files that we would like as well. So maybe we had like a scan file or something like that. And we can also say that we want to include that as a as in the finding in the final report. And then we'll go ahead and toggle this as the red team saying, hey, yeah, this is a finding. We need to add this in. We can have a procedure log. So executed at this time. We could put a timestamp in as to when it was actually executed. So let's just say this was when it started and this is when it ended. And we could save that. We can have multiple execution steps as part of this. Then we can add affected assets as well. So actually, I don't think I have any assets assigned here or created to this client yet. So we can create an asset, and we'll just call it Dan Server 001. And so now we'll go ahead and add this as an asset that we targeted in this specific procedure. We'll say that it did execute against this asset successfully. If we wanted to create another asset that we executed against, let's just call it Dan Server 002. And then we can say, okay, but this one, it wasn't successful. So we can say this one's going to be added to the report as the finding, but this one, this 002, it wasn't successful. We could also add evidence specific to this asset. So if we want to say, something like pwnage and do this, we can add asset evidence specific for the asset. When we executed this, we could have multiple evidences. So maybe had like a bunch of different logs or, execution output from whatever tool that you're running to execute this, or just the console output. This is where that can live as well. So if we come we can also specify like the attack source to just give everybody information about where this came from, and then any other notes about from the red team execution perspective. Now on the blue team side, they can come in and they can see, okay, the red team saw that this was successful. They saw these are the execution steps that were executed. I'm going to go look in my logs and start to see if I can identify this information. And maybe I'll say like, hey, we did actually see this. It was forensically logged, but yeah, it didn't alert us or anything like that. So we need to go back and find out where we need to, detect this. We could attach our own evidence as well. So maybe we have some screenshots.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt you right in the middle of your demo, but is there any way that you can increase the font size or resolution of your screen? There's some people having a hard time like reading. They're engaged, but they can't read it quite well.
Is that a little better?
A little bit better.
Okay.
So maybe if you want to point something out, you zoom in at that time and then zoom back out and then zoom back in. And I know that can be jarring, but
hey, no worries. Appreciate the heads up. Hopefully this is a little better. I kind of zoomed in quite a bit.
Jeff McJunkin said Control plus all the things.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So okay, well, so we'll bring it in here like this. Hopefully that looks a little bit better. So we're able to add our evidence as the blue team. We can add our own evidence in. So like let's say we had some kind of document or log file or something like that, right? I can't type. And we'll go ahead and include this as evidence for the blue team side as well. On the blue team side, we could add our own procedure logs. So we could say, hey, Splunk logs picked this up, but no alert, or something like that, right? And we can specify a start and end date for that. So a timestamp of like, okay, yep, here's when we saw it, and here's when it finished that log statement or whatnot. We can add multiple procedures to this, and we can make our own notes too. Like we'll get this next time. So from here, we've now completed this execution procedure for this specific procedure in the runbook. If we were to go back to the overview, we can come down to that one that we specifically executed. We say, okay, we see this one's going to be included as a finding in the report, and that it's completed. And so now we can start to say like, okay, we're running through all of these. I can come into another detail here, and I can cycle through them as well from this navigator up at the top here. And I won't go through all those procedures again, but I'll go ahead and show that this is what we executed on, and maybe it was partially successful from the red team, just to kind of show that we can populate as many of these in findings as possible. So if we come back to the overview, you can see that we start to see that these are now included in the findings. So we've included 3. Let's say we've executed all of them for sake of time. Now all we do is submit this engagement, and this is the beauty of it. It's like now this automatically creates a report in Plextrac based on this run or campaign of this execution of this runbook. If we wanted to, we could go ahead and say, hey, let's go ahead and tag this report. We've got it tagged with demo because we put that tag in for the engagement execution. So let's say maybe we wanted to dig into what actually got reported. Here were those findings. If we come into that PowerShell item, you'll see here was that screenshot that we automatically uploaded. Here was all the procedures that it got executed. This is the information that was from Atomic Red Team. Here were the red team notes. Here were the blue team notes. Here were those actual execution steps. This was the outcome from the offensive team. This was the outcome from the blue team, our attack source. Here's the run of our procedure log. And here's the nice thing too, is it automatically created the evidence for that asset. So this was the one that got included. If we view the evidence here, here was that ponage boom, evidence or whatever we put in there. So now we're starting to collect all this information for the final report. You'll also notice that it got tagged with the proper MITRE ATT&CK techniques and tactics. These tags do map to the same format as Scythe maps their tags. So, because we import data from Scythe as well, you can import that in. The tags carry over the same way, so you don't have to be, going back and forth between different tag formats if you're a Scythe customer as well. And so this is just another standard report in Plextrac. If you're not as familiar with Plextrac reporting, you can edit these, you can change the severity. You'll also notice that if it wasn't an artifact of the engagement that was a screenshot or an image or a video, it gets just inserted as artifacts of the report. So these are the items that got inserted as artifacts of the engagement, and this is where that evidence would live as well. So one last thing before we, I want to maybe leave a little bit of time for questions. Let's say we come back to that and we want to run that again on the same customer, right? So maybe it's like a month later or something like that. We can go ahead and create the same engagement. We can select the same customer. We can select the same tag. So maybe this is just a demo run of the same execution. But let's say the Mimikatz one was the only one that actually executed, and it was only partially successful. We'll go ahead and just save that as is and just say this is the only one that executed. So we can come back, we can submit that. It creates another report under that same client. And this is where now it makes it nice, because now we can come into the analytics section and we can say like, hey, I want to view all of the reports that were executed with the demo tag. So now you see like these are the these are the different executions, four findings for these specific runs, 4 in total. They're informational because we didn't go in and update them, but it's all under that single client. And then if we come, we see all this, the most critical issues. And then here's the breakdown per report. So we can start to compare and contrast different runs of the campaigns and be able to start running analytics and trends over time. So this is what's really nice about being able to have it streamlined straight from the engagement into a report, and now you have the analytics. And then obviously you can export these reports out into your custom templates as always within Plextrac. So was there a question? I forget. Nope, not yet. Okay, so the nice thing about Runbooks is you can always come back to them. You can create your own based on the different methodologies. We have all the different tactics listed here. It comes with the MITRE tactics. You can create your own here. So we created the web security testing guide, tactics for authentication testing and authorization testing. So maybe instead of a MITRE attack run or engagement, we were actually just doing a web app penetration test. So we can come in and we can create a runbook solely based off of that methodology. So here we created one just for authentication testing. If we come in and look at it, you can see, hey, we've got this procedure that we set up for Hydra brute force. So let's say we want to do some default testing for credentials on websites, right? So this can also serve as kind of your knowledge base for how you conduct different techniques throughout your engagements as well. So if we were to say, hey, let's go ahead and just run this specific one, we can go on the purple team demo again. And so here's just this single procedure that we created just as an example of being able to have this as well. So this is what's nice, is that it doesn't have to be strictly a purple team engagement. It doesn't have to be something that you actually give access to the blue team. You can just use it as your checklist and methodology for your red team engagements as well. So here was where that is coming from. These are potentially the different execution steps that we would be executing, and you can provide all the evidence that you wanted to see as we showed in the previous example. But we could say, hey, this was partially successful. We could add our own additional, let's say one other nice thing, this is, we can add evidence like, hey, like this was actually SQL injection. This is another nice feature about Plextrac. If you're not as familiar with the reporting capabilities, is that you can upload videos, right? And so when we say, hey, we're going to include this as a finding, we'll go ahead and submit it as a report. This video that we uploaded on how we conducted this execution. Now this is a SQL injection video, but you get the point that you can add videos straight from execution into the report, to really tell the story of how you executed the exploit, and can collaborate back and forth with the red and the blue teams on how you conducted it, what they should be doing to fix it. And so this is another nice piece of speeding up that time and efficiency, like we were talking about before. There's always going to be a talent shortage within our industry. So finding ways to always have more automation, more efficiency for our talent is always going to be an important piece of the puzzle for improving everybody's security posture, as well as improving morale, right? One thing about pen testing is sometimes it can be a brutal job, right? And then you have to find a report, and then you have to write the report. So having more morale just around some of the aspects around getting the engagement evidence collected, all your notes collected in a single spot, being able to execute quickly and efficiently, and being able to dig a little deeper is always important. And so saving more time on reporting and the collaboration is going to free up more time for everyone to not only find the issues, but fix the issues. One last thing that I will mention, if you're not as familiar with Plextrac, is like once it is in a report, you can continue the workflow. And we just released the substatus feature as well. So let's say we say, okay, we're going to go ahead and start fixing this. You could have substatuses like, hey, this is ready for retest. Let's say we did fix it. We're going to go ahead and assign it to the demo user, and can you validate this? So now we have this workflow straight from the report, and now you're not having to do a lot of emails back and forth saying, hey, I'm ready for this to be retested. Can you look at it? We have this status tracker right here, and we see who it's assigned to. So then that automatically updates in the status here. It automatically updates in the status for the analytics, so we've moved this already to in process. Oh, and if I'll go back there for a sec, you can also see it in the summary here that, hey, it's in process and it's in the sub status of ready for retest. And so then we could come back in, we could say, hey, I've actually retested it. This looks good to go. So we can say, hey, I'm going to change this to closed. And we can now say, hey, that it's validated. And we can say, good job. And so if you're not as familiar with Plextrac, we have the 3 primary statuses, and I'll show you that. And so these sub statuses can be customized to your workflow. So we come into general settings, you can see we've created these different sub statuses for open and closed and in process. You can create any of your own simply based on your workflow. And plus, we're not going to get into the business of determining whether, risk accepted is actually a closed finding or not. So some people will keep it in a closed status. Some people will keep it in an open or in process. So that's, we'll stay removed from that conversation and allow you, the users, to determine, what's best for your organization and how you determine risk status when you're accepting or things like that. But we've had a lot of questions around, having some additional workflow statuses, during the remediation life cycle. So that's the beauty of Runbooks, being able to execute a runbook from getting all the evidence collected, being able to collaborate in real time with the blue team and the red team, streamlining the report writing process straight to the analytics. So as you do campaigns time over time, you start to see your trends, and then you can also immediately get it into the remediation workflow using sub statuses or just your normal open, closed, and in process statuses as well. That is all we've got for our demo of Runbooks. Really appreciate it. I don't know if there's any questions. Hopefully the screen res was okay to pick everything up.
Yeah, I think once you zoomed in a little bit, I think we got pretty good screen res. Let's throw that open to the track on Discord. Is there any questions for Dan that anybody wants to throw out there while we've got him in the last few minutes here? I appreciated the demo because one of the things I detest is reporting, but so tools that make reporting better, faster, more automated, always helpful things to have. So thanks so much, Dan, for bringing us your demo and talking across lunch. I see one person typing in the track. Let's just see if there's a question there. One question was, are there evaluation versions available? Can you speak to that really quick, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. We can get anybody set up into a trial. Just give us a buzz, and shoot me an email, or either to dan@plextrac.com or sales@plextrac.com, and we can get you set up into a trial.